And in the book, it's many of the themes that you have concerned yourself with your first book, Purple Hibiscus, and also the two books that have come after that. It's very much to do with a sense of identity, of belonging, of longing. There's a whole reflection on what Nigeria means to you. I wonder if you could just reflect a little bit for us about what Nigeria means to you.
What Nigeria means to me. I should say that I'm very much given to what I like to call unnecessary nostalgia. So a kind of longing for, for what isn't, and for what I wish would be. And also I love to look back a lot. I'm sort of very enamored of the past. So I like to imagine what the past would have been like if I'd lived in the past, which is strange. But Nigeria is home for me. Nigeria is a country I love very deeply. It's also a country that I feel deeply disappointed by. And it's a country I desperately want to change, in the way that you love something that's broken and you want to make it whole. And it's the only home I will ever have. I grew up there. My sensibility is Nigerian. I look at the world with Nigerian eyes. I'm very comfortable in the world, but in a sense, my rootedness is in Nigeria.
There are male characters in this novel, but you have consciously wanted to write the world from a female perspective. And tell me why those stories are distinctly important to you.
Apart from just my being a woman.
Apart from that.
Also my being happily female. Because I'm interested very much in gender as a whole, just in the way that gender shapes the way people experience the world. I think women experience the world differently, not because there's something inherent in them, but because they're socialized to become female. And also just because women's stories haven't been told as often and as consistently and as well as men's stories have been told. So in Biafra, for example, when I was researching Half of a Yellow Sun, I was just struck by how many stories I heard about women who took on these sort of responsibilities and roles that men had not allowed them to take on before, but suddenly war changes the social dynamics of everything. And also how I heard these stories from people, but I realized in the books I had read, I really didn't see those stories reflected. So I very much wanted to, in some ways, sort of honor these women who had done these things.
I just wonder whether you would say something about the importance of fiction to you to allow the sorts of conversations that perhaps political discourse, overtly political discourse, doesn't allow.
I think I'm such a believer in stories and how powerful stories are. I think stories, because they're sort of human and they draw you in and they're just not abstract arguments. I think that's why. And also, in some ways, it's a safer space. So people who don't necessarily agree with me politically can still get into that story in a way that, if you're very clear about a political argument and it's very abstract, it's very easy for people to become alienated from it. But it's a story. So then it's an entry. We can all get into the story. And I'm such a believer in stories. I think for me, in some ways, being a writer is that I've always felt one step removed from everything. I always feel like I'm watching all the time. I just watch with my family and everybody's talking and laughing and I'm very happy there, but I'm still just one step removed because I'm watching. And in some ways, for me, the world is this place that is very interesting, and I'm just always sort of looking for what I can mine for my fiction. What I can. So I think in some ways, for me, it's just that I'm just very curious about the world. I'm constantly watching.